General Siwach, you were touching upon the point of investment and the lack of economic investment between both the countries. When we talk about the larger EU per se, we do lack that FTA which is curtailing our investment. Do you think Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit this time will ensure that there's greater impetus to that much needed economic investment from France in India?
Well, there is no doubt. The point which is coming is that there is a requirement of having a more economic relation with France. We have a more economic relation with UK compared to even France, leave aside US. So therefore, this point is very much taken. There is a lot of scope that the economic relationship has to increase, and Indian company must invest in France and French company must invest in India. It has to be two-way traffic. But remember that this visit possibly is going to make a lot of difference. 2-3 things stands out. There are 63 points which have been discussed, and they have agreed on that. And there are 7 pillars which are very important, which I suppose our viewers should know it. A partnership in security and sovereignty, partnership in Indo-Pacific. That is where it stands out in the sense that Indo-Pacific is the place where India and France want to coordinate and cooperate. Right. The reason is very simple, that there are about 15 to 20 lakh French people staying in Indo-Pacific in number of island territory which are owned by
Absolutely.
France.
No. Major General Siwach, I am so sorry to intervene over here, but this is exactly what I want to know from you. Has India not harnessed the potential, the real potential of this strategic partnership when it comes to ensuring an open, free and inclusive Indo-Pacific? Because remember, France has a very significant role when it comes to the Indian Ocean. They have a military base in Djibouti as well. They have French territories in Africa. Whether it is the territory of Reunion. We know that France is playing a very significant role when it comes to their territories in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, very good.
With the growing threat of China, what has abstained India and France from harnessing that significant partnership as far as protecting the Indo-Pacific is concerned?
Ankasha, I suppose we are moving toward that. Okay. There was a talk of having basically a Quad plus also, where we wanted the France should also become a part of a Quad, where India, Australia, US and Japan are there. The reason is simple. The aggressive and assertive attitude of the China is a big problem for all these countries, including minor countries of Asia. So therefore, there is a requirement of jointmanship, and we are moving toward that. And that is what it is required, is that the sea lanes have to be protected. And we want to have a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific with the 3 tenets: freedom of navigation, rule-based international order, maintaining territorial integrity and sovereignty of all nations, including minor island nations. So that is the basically 3 tenets which we have agreed both the countries. And also we want to ensure our sea lanes are protected, because 70 to 80% of our trade is going through Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean. And today, aggressive and assertive attitude of China is a threat to everyone. And therefore, resilience and supply chain is a point to be taken and noted. And also the cooperation, coordination between India and France, and also between Quad and France. So I suppose this is a point which has been noted, that in Indo-Pacific, there is a requirement of having a more cooperation, coordination of both these countries, France and India, in case we want a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. And the weapon system which we are getting, the Rafale which we have got it for our Vikrant, 26 of them.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you there. In fact, CNN News 18, Sanjay Suri is tracking all those latest developments for us, and he's been in Paris tracking Prime Minister's visit as well. Sanjay, I'd like to come over to you. While a lot of the discussion and jargon has been resting upon renewing this strategic partnership after 25 years between India and France, one major key takeaway of this meeting has been the Horizon 2047. Take us through those important pillars of Horizon 2047 and what India and France hope to achieve through it.
This was a quite spectacular visit. We saw the Bastille Day parade. We saw the Prime Minister looking on with pride at the Indian contingent that marched alongside the French through the parade. But the visit brought a deafening silence on the issue of the Rafale and the submarine deals, and it was widely expected that there will be some movement or some indication of movement forward on those. None other than the Prime Minister himself flagged those, and on the second and last day of his visit, through the course of a press meeting alongside President Macron, Prime Minister Modi spelt out at that meeting that India will be looking for the Rafale for the Navy and will be looking at the Scorpion submarines, and that political talks to follow that announcement are expected to take up those matters. The political talks did follow. They were not particularly lengthy by the program and the way that played out. In any case, at the end of the visit, we heard from the Foreign Secretary that there is an announcement of a 63-point program. That is a program that takes ties with France, strategic ties as they've been called now, in their new lease up to 2047, and these cover a wide range of issues: fight against terrorism, focus on the Indo-Pacific, and also on strategic partnerships. The Foreign Secretary indicated that the strategic partnerships part of that agreement would cover particular aircraft and particular deals as well, and that this relationship should not be confined to any one particular aircraft or submarine or one particular major defense deal. The difficulty, of course, is not only that the Prime Minister himself flagged those as issues to be discussed and awaiting decision. We had a couple of days back a clearance from the DAC, and that cleared the Rafale, and it said that, well, what it now awaits and what it now needs for completion is an agreement on pricing and other modalities, which of course would include technology transfer. We can only conclude that that is work in progress, that there will be continuing talks on that, but no outcome from that and on that has emerged through this visit.
All right. Many thanks to you, Sanjay, for bringing in all those details and for tracking Prime Minister's visit for us. And with that, let me now quickly go back to my guests. I would like to take my next question from Anne. Anne, India has approved the plan to buy these 26 Rafale M jets from France, along with the 3 more Scorpion-class diesel-electric submarines, as also was being pointed out by Sanjay. While the previous tender with Rafale was with the Indian Air Force, this time it is targeting the Navy. In a year that is celebrating 25 years of India-France strategic agreement, how do you view this defense partnership? How has it evolved in the last 2 decades?
I would say that it's the defense partnership that has worked. Those 26 Rafales are coming to sort of after 36 that India ordered before. So that means that you've got a cohesive air force with sort of a good fighter. We say that, but it's a well-coveted fighter. So that works. The other thing is keeping relations, the maritime relations and relations with French territory, which is around India. We have Diego Suarez in the Indian Ocean. We have, of course, on the other side of China, we have New Caledonia. We have the Pacific Islands. We have a presence in Mayotte as well. And that means that around India, you've got shards of French presence that help France have the second largest maritime zone in the world. And India is a country that has great maritime experience, which is also why we're very happy that China was interested in the 3 submarines. But also it's a color which is a color of independence. And over the years, and ever since General de Gaulle, France has always wanted to have what now Emmanuel Macron calls strategic autonomy, which was basically a kind of independence between the great powers. India has more or less the same attitude, and that's something that the French relate to very well.
All right, Anne. I'd like to close in with Francois's thoughts. Francois, if I could bring you in. The European Parliament has adopted a resolution on the human rights situation in India, this with particular reference to the recent clashes in Manipur. Now, the Indian Foreign Ministry has said that it only reflects a colonial mindset of the West, especially Europe. How do you view the timing of this resolution and the constant Western intervention in India's internal affairs?
There you're right. Actually, the French are more discreet and less, invasive in terms of judgment than the US or the EU. And they're all very ignorant. I don't think anybody knows, even within India, what's happening in Manipur, that, there is the Christians are killing the Hindus there. I wish there were more journalists who stand up for India, and explain to their readers in Europe and United States what's happening really in India, what happened in Kashmir. For instance, in Kashmir, I was a witness to the eviction of the Hindus in Kashmir, and I saw that it is the people of the Valley of Kashmir who started the fight against the Indian government, the Indian army, the BSF. And today they're posing as martyrs, and these human rights people come from US or Europe and they go and meet them, and these people cry, but they actually started a war against India. So there's a great untruth, there's a great, darkness, in reporting about India. It's a very negative reporting. I've been fighting against it. But even in France, newspapers like Le Monde, even Le Figaro, which is a rightist paper for which I worked for a long time, and televisions like France 24, they give a very wrong picture of India, a very negative, hostile, untrue. There are a lot of untruths in the reporting about India, and hence, the politicians have no way to understand better what is happening in India.
But Francois, what stands out in all of this is the kind of honor that the Indian Prime Minister has been receiving, whether it is the United States and most recently now, it's very apparent from the way the French President honored Indian Prime Minister, even with that honor of Legion. That only goes on to speak volumes that India has, how far India has come under the premiership of the Indian Prime Minister. On that note, it's a quick wrap from my end. Many thanks to all our guests for joining in on World 360. Thank you so much.